All right, we're just going to start with on topics first, and then we'll go to off topics after that. So whoever would like to go first.
Governor, why do so many businesses choose South Carolina?
Because it's the greatest place in the whole country to live, work, and raise a family, and everybody knows it now. You got good law enforcement. You got great universities. I mean, the southern states are booming. And here in Beaufort County, Jasper County, all up Colleton, all up the Lowcountry, it's a remarkable place. And I was unaware until recently, but half of the salt marsh on the East Coast is in Beaufort County. And that salt marsh is fantastic. Got these old trees I mentioned in the Bidler Forest. There was the trees 1,800 years old. That's 1,800 years old. That is I think it's the largest old growth uncut forest in the whole world. But it's the people that make the difference. And that's what I was speaking about, our history and how we got to be the way we are, because different parts of the country are different. You have the nature, the environment. That's one thing. If you grow up in a desert, you probably will have one set of doing things one way. You grow up in a lush place like this, it'd be different. You're on the ocean, you're on the water. It really is a great place, and people realize that, and the people, particularly the people that are here now and those that visit as well, realize it's unique. And my point to everybody is we have to be sure that the young people know how unique it is and how precious it is, because we can mess it up if we're not careful. But if we're smart, we can expand, we can preserve these precious places and that precious history and all the archaeological things, the buildings and all of that. Let's make our education even better. We got the best technical college system in the world. We've frozen tuition in the universities for, I think, 6 years in a row. Great law enforcement. We really got everything. Everything's coming our way right now. We just have to be smart and don't mess it up. Keep going.
Those economic policies, you really work to make South Carolina the center for a lot of things so far. Are they protected from some of what's going on in Washington with cuts, et cetera? And we are in a silo ourselves for South Carolina, right?
So I think there may be some impact on some of them, but we're not going to quit. And our state agencies are strong. Our state agencies are experienced. People ask about how about if during hurricane season, how about if FEMA doesn't get here quick enough? Well, FEMA is essentially a bank. Our emergency management network in South Carolina is experienced and great as anything else, and that's not affected. It's all about the shutdown. I think shutdowns not going to last much longer, I hope. But remember, the reason what the resolution would do is just keep spending what we've been spending. What some of the leading Democrats want to do is add another $1.3 trillion on that for new spending and just called, I think, health care and some sort of support for other things, illegal immigrants. Well, that's not a good idea. It's a bad idea. But what the Republican leadership is proposing, you could just keep it going just like it's been going. No add, don't subtract. Just keep it going, and we'll consider everything and come up with a proper budget.
Governor, what do you think Hilton Head can do to maintain its tourism economy, but also keep it looking the way it does, like the natural beauty like yours?
It's going to take some thinking. That's what a point I was making. So far, we haven't messed it up. I think the bridge got here in 1956, and people have been coming ever since. But it is a beautiful place, one of the top tourism destinations in the whole country. Charleston shares that title in the world sometimes, top tourist destination in the whole world. But that's what I mean. We have these priceless treasures, and we just have to be very careful. Don't jump. Don't make quick decisions. Realize that all this is all taught. All our prosperity, our economic prosperity, our education, and our environments are all tied together. They're like three legs on a stool. You got to have them all. And it's not a question of economic growth or environmental protection. You have to have both of them. You have to have all of that because they each support the other.
Any off-topic questions?
Just want Carolina or Clemson wind?
It depends. When I'm, of course, a graduate of USC, undergraduate and law, all my brothers are, my daddy. And so I'm always pulling for the Gamecock, even if they're playing Clemson. But I admire Clemson. My mother was the honorary cadet colonel at Clemson University in 1942. That's when they were all male in uniform. She got a white uniform, a hat, sash, and sword. It's like homecoming queen. So I'm crazy about Clemson. Clemson's a great school, but if Clemson not playing Carolina, I'm fed with Clemson.
There are going to be rallies around the state and around the country this weekend for what they're calling No Kings Rally 2, whatever it may be. Mr. Johnson, Speaker of the House, came out and said everyone who's involved is Antifa or somewhere against the country at some point. I know you're very pro-free speech at some point. What do you feel about these rallies and the people in South Carolina? Are they instigating, or are they just putting that right?
This free speech is what we had. One of the things we had a Revolutionary War about, freedom. Anybody can speak their mind as long as they're not inciting violence or committing violence. They can celebrate, protest as much as they want. I probably won't be going to the rally. I think it's complete state house. That anybody's welcome to speak their mind.
Diller, sorry, I'm going to go back to on topic, but you mentioned youth multiple times today. Maybe I'm biased, but I think, what are some of the biggest aspects of South Carolina that make it habitable for young entrepreneurs or young businesses to start growing in this state?
It's the openness of the state, the friendliness of the people, the respect that people have for each other, the high regard that the older people have for younger people who are making the way of working, they're really serious, who are reading, who are learning, who are going to class. It doesn't matter what school you go to class, read the books. I would recommend everybody find a list of the 10 books that Thomas Jefferson recommended to people. Really take a look at that and see what they were reading back then when they were creating this country. All those signers of the Declaration of Independence, Constitution, they all read that Constitution, particularly these folks that these names we tried.
And there was, over this weekend, there was mass shooting at a local bar about less than an hour away from here, 4 dead, 20 injured. What's your reaction to that?
Well, that's unfortunate, but I think I don't know the details. I'm sure Sheriff Talent knows a lot about it. But I think that a lot of this violence that we see is a result of gaps and weakness in our law enforcement system. I think we need to, and the answer to that is you can't just have laws. We pass laws up in sentences for or felons, all that. But you can have all the laws in the world, but you don't have judges that understand them and enforce them or serious about it. Then you go keep on that. So that's why I'm very much in favor of all of our magistrates being attorneys. Now, we got a lot of smart people that are magistrates that are not attorneys. So, but the law can be complicated, and you can be working on an area of the law, and because of the lack of a legal education, you might not realize that there's something different about this or that situation. So I'm urging the legislature to see that we have all magistrates, all law views, and we got about 300. They're the ones that said, and it's your search, all that kind of stuff. But also, there are judges are elected by the end of the side. And then it's good to have a lot of input now. But also you end up with conflicts, or at least appearance about the conflicts where the legislator is going before a judge that he or she voted on, I worry, or perhaps didn't vote on it. It was in the legislation. That gives pause to some people when they know that we got a lot of work that we need to be sure that every citizen has confidence in the fairness and ability in our court system. And a lot of our judges, they're elected by the people, the circuit judges, elected by the people, and they won't give a harsh sentence, won't give a strict sentence, won't give a sentence to someone who deserves a very strict sentence. What can we do about that? As somebody said once, that sometimes you get the government that you deserve. If we can strict sentences available for violent crimes and repeat offenders and all that. But if the judges don't respond properly to the crime and give a slap on the wrist to somebody who needs to be in jail because he's dangerous, well, then we will continue to have this problem. Chief Justice is concerned, a lot of the legislators are concerned. I'm concerned about we've tightened up the laws on repeat offenders with illegal guns. And I wonder, these crimes that he just has mentioned, I wonder if those illegal money, I guarantee you that they were stolen somewhere. I'll mention one other thing too. Y'all might know something about this. We have the dog fighting culture in South Carolina. It is horrible. These people will train dogs to fight too. Get them when they're puppies, put heavy chains around the neck, dragging around, building them up, put them on treadmills, feed them. Some of them, the one that we sent to jail a few years ago when I was Attorney General, he was the #1 breeder of pit bull dog fighters in the country. And it got in a lot of years, wasn't enough. But they train those dogs to fight, and they will fight to the death, and it is horrible. And they will steal your dog to put in that pit to fight, let that dog practice on, and sometimes they tape his mouth shut so he can't fight back. It is the most brutal, ugly thing. It's horrible. And I know it's going on here because it's going on everywhere across the state. I've had sheriffs say that if they could find out where the fight was going to be that night, and it's hard to find out because if you're interested, you go to this place and somebody will say, go to that place. And then you go there and they say, go to this place. And finally you end up at where you're supposed to go. And it's not posted in the newspaper and television, dog fight tonight. But they don't do it that way. But I've had sheriffs tell me if they could catch them in the act and throw a net over the whole crowd, they could solve 90% of the crimes in the community. Because these people that go, they're drug dealers, they're thieves, they are violent, and the way they kill those dogs, maim those dogs is horrific. So if you hear a bunch of growling and barking out in the woods somewhere, call the police.
Regarding the shooting over the weekend, what conversations have you had with local leaders or with Sheriff Tanner?
I haven't spoken to him. I think that some of the folks in the office have spoken to him, but he's a fight-able sheriff, and whatever he says, I think you can depend on that. When he'll give you all the information he thinks he ought to.
The one thing that did come up in the sheriff's news conference real quick would be the fact that the ability to convert these guns from regular guns to automatic weapons in many cases. Is it time for a law in South Carolina, nationally, whatever it may be, to try to find a way to stop these devices that are allowing them to do that?
I know that there's been a discussion, debate at the national level. I think there's something like that in effect someplace. I don't know the answer to that, but that's anything we can do to cut down on that kind of thing, well, we do, except ban guns, because we've got a Second Amendment right to have a firearm. And if you're in your home late one night and everybody's gone around town for a vacation and you hear something that you think is suspicious, you might want to have a pistol. That's what it's for. And remember this, in Germany, the Nazis disarmed all the six. Nobody had it. He couldn't fight back. The British in the Revolutionary War, they went around taking up all the guns. Couldn't fight back. But Francis Marion and Pickens, Sumter, and those fellas, they had rifles. Maybe had pistols too. And they sure fought back, and that's how we won. So that Second Amendment, people say, well, just ban guns and everything will be okay. No, illegal guns will still be there. That's what most of the killing right now.
Does that apply to automatic weapons?
What?
Is that also your thought on automatic weapons? Like for the Second Amendment, do you think it also, like, what are your thoughts on?
I don't know what the law says, what the latest case is on automatic weapons.
Oh, I was just wondering what your thoughts were, like as opposed to just like a handgun or a shotgun.
Well, a handgun is a pistol.
Right.
A rifle. I think there's some place to draw a line. I know you can't have a bazooka, you can't have a machine gun, you can't have a tank, I don't know where to draw the line. I think when you start talking about disarming people, you're getting in very tricky waters. We need to be careful because, again, those men that drew up the Constitution knew what they were up against. They were well-read, they were highly experienced, and that right to bear arms is central. That freedom of speech, freedom of religion, those things, central to the rights that we have in this country. So we have to be very careful.
All right, but Gus, thank you.
Thank you.